Hello there, guys. Welcome back to ShootOut. Welcome back to a brand new video. George, I'd ask how you're doing, but it's how do you want to call it? Do you want to call it a few hours later, the next day, however you want to call it, wherever you are in the world? And I'm not feeling better. Are you feeling better? I doubt it.
I'm absolutely not, but I think we should start here by giving some value because this is ShootOut after all. And I think the value comes from not allowing yourself to be that emotionally attached to a defeat anymore because we're actually so used to it. We've experienced it more than we've experienced wins. So for that reason, I've just made a point all day today that unless I'm sat in front of the camera, because I've done an extra flipping video on my channel too today, I've just thought, look, unless I'm actually physically in front of the camera talking about Chelsea, I'm going to smile at the most menial, pointless things because otherwise I will burst into tears because it is nothing short of a flipping disaster what we've had to witness in this game. It's absolutely blown my mind just how bad Chelsea were in this game.
Yeah, 100%. To give context, in case you're living, in a cave or you're under a rock and you have no idea what's happened, this is the fallout after Manchester United 2, Chelsea 1. And some would argue that if you just hear that scoreline, well, it's not the end of the world. It's a 2-1 loss. It can happen. No. When you're looking at the context of the way that whole game went down, much like how Newcastle should have battered Man United, 5-0, and they only won 1-0, this is a case where Man United should have honestly walked away with about 5 or 6, and they didn't, but they got the win very, very, very comfortably, and there are serious issues and questions that need to be raised about Chelsea. So we're going to dissect. Where do you want to start, mate? Because
I think we should focus first of all. We should focus first of all on the fact that it was only 2-1, and I think that's actually, in a way, it makes it even worse. And I don't really want to credit Sanchez too much because I think overall, his distribution is part of the reason why Chelsea is so bad, and part of the reason why United dominated us so much is because even when we did have the ball and he had it, he gave it straight back to them every single time. So I think, to be quite honest, the fact that it was only 2-1 highlights so dramatically and massively how bad Chelsea are. Because if you think about being 2-1 down in a match against a big rival, in a game which is massive in the context of Chelsea are chasing down positions that Manchester United are in. It's not just about beating Man United. It's about United are above us in the table. They're sitting a little bit more comfortably than we are in the league in the context of what league positions mean. So the fact it was only 2-1, yet the game felt as though we'd already lost it from the minute we walked out on the field. It felt as though but it's not even the atmosphere. The atmosphere was so tepid at Old Trafford. They were so nervous. They're so kind of tired of their football, tired of their up and down results too. There wasn't any real buoyancy and enthusiasm from them either. So surely, as we said in the build-up to this game on both of our channels and here on ShootOut, surely you'd think that there would be some kind of energy from Chelsea that would suggest that we were there to go at Manchester United, make their lives harder, to make our lives better. But even with just a 1-goal deficit and a 1-goal gap at most throughout the whole match, it wasn't competitive. Not even a little bit competitive, which for me is just absolutely bonkers.
Yep, completely right. And that's, I want to say that's the shocking thing. There's levels to this, right? You expect Chelsea to be able to come out and do something, put up some sort of a fight. And I'm not just going to, ramble on about the fact that, I'm not going to go down the route of there was no passion and there was there was nothing. There was nothing, not even on a tactical level, on a footballing level, on a personal level, there was nothing. And it's mind-boggling. You show up to a Man United that are hurting, that are bruised, that are damaged. And as you said, the atmosphere at the start, you could tell was nerve-wracking for them. You could see that the first, The first 5-10 minutes, you could tell the crowd were on edge. But after the first 10-15 minutes, they started to relax a little bit. And you could just tell because they set the tone. They were in control from minute 1 until minute 90. And you have to ask, how and why? Why is it that Chelsea can't even get a foot into the game? And then you just look at the way that it all went down. And I'm sorry, there's ways to lose games. Yesterday was just nothing less than a joke, just a complete joke. And by the time you reach December in a season, there's no reason for Chelsea. We're talking Chelsea. There's other teams that can play this way and it could be seen as okay. For Chelsea to be playing like this in December is a disgrace. It's bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers. And
I think, yeah. I think the fact that we've been able to attribute a lot of results this season that haven't gone our way, and be like, well, individual errors, but at least we dominated the game. You know, there's been so many moments this year where you can pinpoint a goal that we've conceded and be like, well, that was Thiago Silva's fault, or that was Cucurella's fault, or that was Disasi or Colwell, or like someone is usually the culprit, or Sanchez. Someone is usually the culprit individually, where it's just like, do better, be better. This felt like, as a team, I don't even like the fact that I'm calling it as a team. You know, it kind of makes me feel a bit sick to try and call this a team effort or a lack of team effort, because, and this is why big questions need to be asked at all levels of the football club right now. And it is like, Todd Boehly has tried to buy a football team. Pochettino is in charge of making them a team. And then the players, every time they go out on the field, when that whistle goes, they are supposed to try and play like a team. Tonight, we did not play like a team at all. Not even a little bit. It's like I don't know, like the colours, blue and red, are about as distinctive as you can get on a football field. It's not like the referee was blending in and we accidentally tried to give it to him once in a while. No, everything is there in plain sight. And we cannot even... Look, it's 15 games into the season. I'm dying to see Chelsea start to build some kind of style. I'm dying to see us build some kind of like in-game patterns. There's moments where we get into good positions again, yes, and I think if we had someone who could actually finish in front of goal, then we're talking about a totally different story. But even against Brighton, we were talking about like Chelsea limped over the line. We had discipline as an issue again. You know, we were creating lots of chances again, but the finishing was poor again, and then we're nervous at the end. Today, there was nothing. It was like, bloody hell.
Yeah.
Like, if ever there was an advert for what not to be like in the Premier League, or why the Premier League is not very good, Manchester United and Chelsea, like the poster boy clubs, you could say, of this league for the last 20 years, and they put in a performance like that, both of them. But even Man United, like, they weren't great again, but we made them look so good. I saw you say in your video, like, we made them look like Sir Alex Ferguson prime Manchester United, or like prime Barcelona or something. Like, they had more shots in the opening 20 minutes against us than they did in the whole game against Newcastle. What the hell? Do you know what I mean?
Mate, I think they left this game with like 30 shots or something. It's bonkers. It's outrageous.
It's not okay, bro. It's not okay. How can you let Manchester... Scott McTominay scored 2 goals against us. Like, come on, man.
This is exactly it.
He's not even the striker. Rasmus Højlund has got no Premier League goals, but he should have had a hat-trick today because we gave them clear-cut opportunities. We gave him one-on-ones. It's embarrassing, bro. It actually is embarrassing from head to toe.
It's bonkers. And this is where as you said, big questions have to be asked at all levels. There is no excuse. And I have to stress that. We said that before the game, and I'm saying it now. There is no excuse for what went down. You know, as a team, just as an average Premier League team, that should not be happening. And we're talking bare average Premier League team. That should not be happening. A performance like that where you show absolutely nothing, right? The only time we done something was when Cole Palmer decided to use a glimpse of intelligence that he possesses and slot it into the bottom corner. That was the moment. That was the only moment in the game. Everything else was a joke. You have to ask why. Why is it that Chelsea on one game a week what are we doing in training? What's going on in the week? What's going on in terms of prep? What's going on in terms of levels? We'll talk about standards. We talk about mentality, the fact that there's no leaders. But how did we get to this point? You know, how is it here? It's absolutely insane. And questions need to be asked, as you said, on all levels, but they have to be dissected. Because I truly believe that there's, I think in terms of what's happened at Chelsea is pretty self-explanatory. Right? You can see in terms of the owners and what they've done, and now it's glaring us in the face that everything that was done was wrong, right? In terms of strategy, recruitment, whether you're talking about the owners and how they approached it at the very beginning, wrong. The recruitment and the ones that they got in order to try and get us players through the door, wrong. Strategy, wrong. Poch coming in, we thought we would be getting better. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I didn't expect him to take us to the promised land and win us titles. I said that from the get-go. He's not going to be that guy. But considering we finished 12th under Graham Potter and how bad we were there, I thought, okay, he would elevate us to a level where it would be deemed respectable. And the fact we're in December and playing like this is bonkers. Some of the decisions he made yesterday, crazy. And what he came out and said afterwards had me... that was worse than the game. His remarks post-match were worse what he done during the game. And that's got me asking all sorts of questions about Poch now. Although the solution isn't like before where you can just... all right, look, we're going to get rid of the manager now. And we're going to get this guy. And it's going to be okay. We're not at that point anymore. And this is where it's crazy. This is where we have to start asking, what are we going to do? Some of the players that we have in this team... do they belong at this level? Do they belong at Chelsea? You have to start asking after what we saw yesterday. That was just embarrassing. So your thoughts on how to approach all of this?
I mean, I think realistically, like, there's a lot that we can clearly say is wrong from the top. Like, the recruitment probably, which is also an issue in itself, probably isn't Pochettino's players and signings. These are like the new way of Chelsea Football Club signings. Okay, I understand that. That's what they've chosen to do. I think now you've got to understand that they got that totally wrong. But at the same time, right, and this is why, this is always the way, when there's a manager that we like or that we love for a reason. Tuchel won us the Champions League. So even when things went south, it wasn't just like, right, it's gone south now, screw this guy, get him out the door now, sack him, I'm over it. There was always kind of that leverage that he had from that Champions League win, where even though we were shocked at the very start that he was fired, there can be that, well, we don't know if this is the right thing to do or not. Potter comes in and absolutely makes everything worse. He gets fired, that's a given. That goes against what the club were trying to do. Lampard comes in, that was just like, let's just get us to the end of the season so that we don't liquidate. And then Pochettino is supposed to be that guy to give a bit of progress, to actually bring some like world-class acumen, tactics, be able to shift things up a little bit, to be able to use what he's actually got himself to this point, which is Pochettino is considered a good manager because he gets given an immature group of players, a young group of players, and he makes them better. Unfortunately, I don't think we're any better at all than we were under Frank Lampard when we actually gave up because there was no point. There was no need for those players last season to be trying, really, under Frank, because half of them were either going to leave, the other half were new, and the season had already gone anyway. This season, even before this Manchester United game, you've just beaten Brighton. There's a chance now to start climbing up the table again. Just put in a performance. And unfortunately, Pochettino can say all he wants about, oh yeah, we're tired, blah, blah, blah. Pathetic. That is absolutely ridiculous. Newcastle had PSG before they played us, and Man United have been playing in Europe and the same amount of Premier League games as us. Absolutely pathetic. Don't for 1 second think that that is going to wash with me and wash with anybody else. That is not an excuse. Well, it is an excuse. It's a pathetic excuse that doesn't actually hold any validity and firmness whatsoever. So I think Pochettino has to take a lot of blame here, because even the games this season that we've won, you can't really say that Chelsea is starting to cultivate an on-the-field style. You can't say for 1 second that we are starting to look as though there are going to be some mainstays. You've got left backs playing right back, centre backs playing left back, and you've got probably the best centre back at the club on the bench for absolutely no reason. And Pochettino's the one picking the team. How Benoit Badiashile, the tallest centre back at the club, the most athletic centre back at the club, the best ball playing centre half right now at the club, is not even on the field for this game. And you've got your two fullbacks that don't even play in that position naturally anyway. They're starting that game, and then both goals come from the ball and Chelsea not being able to mark their men in those wide areas. It's criminal. It's absolutely criminal. And I don't see why Pochettino shouldn't get the same criticism that Graham Potter got week after week because we thought he was an inept tactician. I don't think Pochettino is inept. I don't think he's useless, and I don't think he's a bad manager. But, you have to do better. The players are not good enough for Chelsea. I think that is just a firm thing that we have noticed all season long and all last year. We've wasted a ton of money, overpaid on a bunch of average footballers. Facts.
Yeah.
But surely there has to be a level here on Pochettino, which is hang on a minute, pal. If we're a bit disjointed, at least play players in their actual positions. It's a joke. Absolute joke. I've had enough, bro. Honestly, I've had enough of this.
No, you're right. You're completely right. And look, with Poch, I feel like there's a realization now. I think the realization is that just as I think many thought at the beginning, but there is always that case of, okay, no, look, we've got to give it an opportunity and let's see how it goes and whatnot. And no one expected this, right? I think we all expected at least a little bit better than what we're getting right now. And we're not. We're not getting that. Pochettino isn't an elite manager. I think that's clear now. I think that is the problem. The fact that has come from who's hired him, right? We now have that confirmation that he's a good manager, but he was never going to be that guy to take us far. But we expected a bit better than what we're getting right now. The fact that yesterday, what done me yesterday, he said that he wasn't disappointed, but he thought that they gave everything. I heard that, and I was like, nah. If he genuinely looks at that game, and on top of that says that he thought that we played well in that second half, then I'm sorry. You're not the right man here.
Part of this is there are elite managers who are unquestionably elite, and let's just keep this as Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola, just because otherwise we start debating something else. If Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola had this Chelsea squad, I still don't think we'd be in the top four. But I absolutely think by now we would have seen an imprint of the way that those two managers like to play. That is elite. Exactly. That is elite coaching. You take over a group of players, and even like Klopp, for example, last season, out of nowhere, all of a sudden, he shifts a few things up, and Liverpool go from having an awful season that was as bad as Chelsea's to finishing really strong and nearly getting in the Champions League. That is elite. In the 15 Premier League matches we've seen from Pochettino, granted, there's been a lot of players that haven't been there. There is not a single imprint of a certain style or progress, development, all of these words that we're basically just begging for at this point. There is none of it. So, the problem is, I think, above all else, as much as I do think Poch must be questioned and we need to look at this, I do think, overall, the players that we have at Chelsea Football Club are just nowhere near good enough in a very competitive Premier League. Like West Ham, they bought in Mohamed Kudus, who is a better player than I would say any player that Chelsea have bought in. Arguably, Cole Palmer could be better. Mohamed Kudus is a better player. We were linked with him. We thought it was too much money, 40 million. Better than any signing that we've made all year. And that includes maybe January right now for what we're seeing on the field. That is bloody mental. That is absolutely mental. West Ham are getting this bloke. And they're above us in the table. You see why? Look at Brighton. They sell us Caicedo. They sell us Cucurella. They sell us their flipping manager. What do? They go and bring in a better manager and even better players. So, exactly. The players, bro. And the players have been bought by these owners who have tried to completely change things, throw a load of money at something and hope that it sticks. And unfortunately, that is not how the Premier League works. You've either got an elite manager and you're competing at the top level, or you've actually got a vision. I'm talking now Arsenal, Villa, Newcastle. And you work on it at the right speed, at the right time, and understand that throwing money does not make it flipping stick. And unfortunately, the more money you spend, the chances are the less money that you can spend to solve the problem, because you've already spent all the flipping money and it ain't working. So I honestly think we're doomed. Like, I hate to be that negative guy, but like, I just don't see how we get out of the hole. I really don't.
Well, no, you see, this is why, unlike other clubs where I think it would be easier to just go, okay, no, look, all right, we've got to change the manager, he's out, and then get someone in and it's all okay. This is a different situation. This is why, even pre the Man United game, and this has now just been the proper confirmation of it, I'm honestly turning the attention to upstairs, because if it's just let to happen, we are going to go down the road that Man United went down, that Arsenal went down for 20 years, that, you know, all these clubs that just took it on the chin and just accepted it. No. The fact that, as you said, the recruitment clearly has been wrong. It's as simple as that. We've got a bunch of young lads in without any leaders or experience around them to be able to guide. The strategy in terms of how to approach this has been wrong. On a financial level, for the owners, this isn't actually a bad deal. When you're looking at the way that the contracts have been spread out over what people are calling death row contracts, and the young players that are going to bring their return on investment in years to come, right? It's actually not a bad... This is where I'm questioning the intention of the owners now and the recruitment in terms of what was actually the priority for them. Was it to actually get Chelsea playing? Did they believe that these players would actually just come good in a few years, naively just going, yeah, it's going to be all right, right? Or... do they just genuinely not know what they're doing? The fact is, the recruitment has actually let us down here. We've spent a lot of money. We spent $1 billion. Do you understand? $1 billion. You're not asking for a process when you spend $1 billion. You're asking for at least some sort of impact now when you spend $1 billion. In fact, we've done it completely wrong. So this is where we have to ask for what the solution is. The solution isn't going to come from sacking Poch now, because who you're going to get in, what's going to happen. We're kind of stuck with this. But changing the model, changing the strategy is going to be the way. We are in quite a predicament here, because I think we're on course now that we're going to finish mid-table again. I don't know about you, but this is where it's heading. And it's absolutely criminal. 2 years in a row, 1 game a week, we're going to be finishing mid-table. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, the reality of the situation is, in order to solve this problem and not keep sacking managers, Chelsea have to spend more money. That's just it. And the difference has to be that you have to spend a lot of money on 2 or 3 world-class players who are not 19 years old. You have to spend a lot of money on a 28-year-old goalkeeper who's actually world-class. You need to spend money on a striker that actually brings you 20 goals in the league per season. And then you've actually got to go out there and spend the same kind of money that we spent on Mudryk, maybe even double that, to bring in an actual world-class winger. Or maybe not even just a winger, maybe just like somebody in the final third who can be that guy to allow Enzo Fernandez, if he really is as good as we think he should be, let Enzo Fernandez be the guy to give the ball to a facilitator for someone to score. Like, I'm just going to throw a couple of names out there here. Valverde from Real Madrid could be an amazing attacking midfield signing for Chelsea. Someone who gets the ball, makes stuff happen on the edge of the area. Imagine a proper striker in the middle who can actually finish. Imagine having someone running a defence who isn't Raheem Sterling, who loves to run into brick walls. Imagine. Like, Chelsea need to be smart here. And the only way that this is going to solve itself, without just hiring, firing, hoping, is to buy genuinely proven world-class players. Don't buy 10 in a window, and if you add up all of the money, 100 million of that is actually bought on players that might never play for Chelsea in the future. 100 million gets you a world-class game-changing footballer. So buy one of them. Stop buying all of these like, oh, this is going to be, we're going to sign him, but he's arriving in 2025. Nope. That has got to stop now. Like, bring me a flipping football. Look at Endo for Liverpool. Everyone's like, what the bloody hell is this guy from Stuttgart doing? He changed the full match against Fulham and actually helped Liverpool win a Premier League game of football. Where is that guy at Chelsea right now? Where is the guy who's going to be like, no, you know what? I've been around the block. I've seen this. I've done this before. And I'm going to grab all of you, put you under my arm, put my arms over your shoulders and be like, look, we got this. We don't have a single player that can do that at this football club. Bring me 1, bring me 2, bring me 3.
Well, this is the thing. What Chelsea absolutely need, and it's evident, and this is where we have to question in terms of how we're gonna get it now, because we've not set ourselves up to get what I'm about to say. We need a spine. an actual spine that you can build around, a proper spine, you know, a renowned winning spine, right? And that doesn't mean go and get Mbappe and go and get, you know, Vinicius Jr. Like, you're just not going to do that. But to get in some pedigree, at least, that you know are going to be set in a level and build around that. Then you can get decent players around them. And then you can incorporate a couple of 18-year-olds or 20-year-olds in order for them to grow and develop. But the problem now that we're looking at is that's going to be coming from recruitment. The recruitment at Chelsea, I'm sorry now, I have to question is, we've brought in lads from Brighton and, you know, mid-table quality recruitment team that I don't think know any better. Because they've not been at that level in order to know what it takes to win the title. And I'm not asking to win the title, but to set up a team that can give you a chance to go and compete for trophies in the near future. We don't have that. So what are we going to do? What are we doing? Do you know what I mean? This is why now I'm putting more emphasis on upstairs, because they've put that team together. And now I worry that this team doesn't actually know how to get us out of this and know how to set up exactly what we're asking for. So this is why we have to change the model. We have to change the strategy. And you put a very good point. The fact that we put in this don't sign anyone over 25 madness is another example of not knowing what we're doing upstairs. The fact that, yes, we've changed the wage structure and we are looking to be a lot more sensible in terms of wages. But the truth is the truth. If you're going to bring in some sort of quality, you need to pay them good money because other teams will. That's just the market you're in. So that's on a financial level. You have to compete. Yeah. You have to pay those wages. That's just the name of the game. If not, you ain't going to be winning anything. That's just the reality. We need to understand that now. We need to get to grip and we need to see what the reaction is going to be from the club. If it's not going to be a good one, then we're going to know exactly where we're heading and it's not a good direction. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. No, to be honest, mate, I really don't have anything else to add. I think it's got to a point now where in the past, Chelsea fans have kind of always been like, you're either in or you're out on someone. I don't really think anyone's necessarily like, Poch is an absolute loser. We hate him, hate his guts, get him out the door tomorrow. There's not going to be banners anytime soon. I think realistically, even Poch's harshest critics at Chelsea who are fans right now would probably just agree that it's the project, again, I have to say it because that's what it's known as. It's the Bowley recruitment and all of the ways that we've changed the way you do business. You can't just come in and change everything and expect everything not to change. And
exactly.
That's life. That is life, period. So the principles and these little restrictions and rules that we're setting for ourselves about recruitment, they've got to change. We have got to look at this squad, see it for what it is. Players aren't good enough. There's no leaders. There's no one here who seemingly really cares enough right now, apart from a small handful that I could literally name on one hand. And that's got to change. That's all I've got to say, mate. I'm gutted, to be honest. I'm actually, like, deflated. Like, the other day we were deflated after the Newcastle one. But this one is just kind of a bit like... Whoa.
This one's worse.
Like...
Yeah. No, completely. You're completely right. I think we need to understand exactly what has happened here, and we call it a spade. As we've said, the recruitment is completely off. The people we've put in place, completely off. The owners, I don't know if they know what they're doing. Poch, I think we've come to a realization of, is this what he has to offer? Is this just his level? Maybe from the very get-go, that was the truth, right? That is it. The players, as you've said, there's barely a handful that you can say qualify to play at a standard like we should be expecting at Chelsea Football Club. So... it's looking like another mid-table finish, if I'm being completely real. And as far as I'm concerned, it's actually bonkers to say that in December. The season is looking like it's done. So, any final words?
Mate, no. I think, honestly, I've waffled on my own channel today. Now we've come here as well. I actually, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go and get myself a coconut. I'm going to go and sit in the sun and pretend that none of this ever happened.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Enjoy the coconut and enjoy the sun.
No, screw it. 20 beers instead. That's it. 20 beers. I've changed it.
All right, so there won't be a video tomorrow here on this channel because he's going to be legless. And
I promise.
And everyone, leave us your comments in the comment section below. Chelsea fans, non-Chelsea fans especially, let us know. The non-Chelsea fans are going to give you an honest, non-biased opinion. So I'm very, very intrigued to hear what they've got to say. So let us know in the comments how you see Chelsea's situation right now from your perspective. And yeah, we will see you guys very, very soon. Hit us subscribe button. Thank you very much. In a bit.
Bye.